Welcome back to the Win With Dice podcast, a podcast featuring members of the Win With Dice team. I'm Calvin, and I'm joined by Ramon.
Hey guys, this is your first time listening to the Movie Dice podcast. The podcast all about tabletop RPGs. Calvin and I take a casual approach to the hobby. So on this podcast, we like to talk about the games that we run, the games that we play, and the cool, wonderful people we get to experience the hobby with. If this is your first time hearing about tabletop RPGs, or maybe you've been out of the game for a while, what are you doing? Go find yourself a table. And hey, if you are a player at someone else's table, maybe it's your turn to be the GM.
Indeed. So, this week we're going to get into some Pathfinder 2nd Edition news. More specifically, we're going to get into the recently announced playtest, and we're also going to talk about something that dropped a couple weeks ago that we hadn't specifically mentioned. But we're going to talk about which deity from the core group of 20 is the one that will be dying in an upcoming book for Pathfinder.
Shit.
Yeah.
YouTube, I don't know if shit's a swear word, but I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I'll mark this as explicit on the Spotify episode.
Oh no.
But yeah, we're gonna get into all of that. But before we get into that fun stuff, we have to get to the most important part of the show: the Win With Dice Weekly GM Tip of the Week.
The Win With Dice Weekly GM Tip of the Week, brought to you by me, Ramon. Haha, it's my turn, fools. Like I have so much wisdom to dispose. Well, all right, folks. Here's the tip of the week.
We've done like 200 of these. Of course you do.
Yeah, I know, right?
Otherwise, why would we be here?
Shoot, now I lost my train of thought. Okay, so for this tip of this week, sometimes if your game has combat or maybe there's some sort of challenge involved, and just specifically like an NPC with a very specific like flavor type or like theme or something like that, you just give them the abilities and stuff that fits that theme. Most times I think it could be group dependent, but most times I think players will just accept whatever you say. Not because that you're always playing it by the book, but because you're going to be putting stuff in there for the experience, right? The players inherently just trust the GM that they're just going to do stuff to just make the game fun and interesting for them, and a lot of times they won't ask for the math, right, how you got there. An example, like we played our last session of Rise of the Rulers, not the last session, but during the last session of our Rise of the Rulers campaign, I had a monk show up and was having a cool monk fight with Calvin's character, and she then surprisingly with a high roll was dogpiled by one of the other characters, our player characters. And then so I was like, I think the monk is strong enough to just kind of knock this person off because he's a monk and that's what they are good at. I did choose some feats and stuff that like would give them the ability to do that without a roll, but honestly I didn't really look at the rules, and I was like, hey, he's a monk, he's super ripped, he can probably just throw this person off who isn't very good at what they're doing. They just rolled really high.
Yeah, I think basically you just treated it like assurance pretty much, where like they could just take a 10 on the roll. And it may be kind of a group dependent thing, because like I was saying when we were talking about it just before the show, like with that group we would be totally fine with you basically just assuming like this guy can do this thing. If he rolled a 10 on the die, he would definitely succeed. So yeah, he's just gonna mess you up a bit. He's just gonna try to get out of this grapple. He's gonna try to trip you, or whatever he was doing at the time. I think it was tripping at the time that he was doing, which was perfectly fine, at least because he's just knocking us prone. It's not too big of a deal. Or he's just escaping a grab in some cases. Yeah, I think it's fine to just go with the flow of narrative even in combat. I feel like I probably wouldn't do it because I like rolling the dice and seeing what happens. But I'm perfectly fine being in a game where that happens, because I can live with that. I know what I'm gonna do when my turn comes around. And frankly, it was one guy versus 4, so.
I was gonna also say, like, he was very outnumbered, and this was basically a boss fight. So giving those boss solo enemies cool abilities is totally fine, and the players would enjoy it. And also, in this specific scenario, they weren't trying to just murderize him. So there was a lot of grappling, a lot of like talking him down, and like that kind of stuff, and trying to restrain him. So it was a big. I do really love the fact that because it was a moment of like restraint from the players instead of just outright murder, it was like it was like it just showed into this big dog pile and just struggled to control and grapple on the ground, right? Like it was cool. So yeah,
it might have been a different situation if it was like a fight to the death that we were really aiming for, but we were just trying to knock this guy out. So yeah, I think we were really at that point to be a bit more flexible with what happens.
Exactly. And like the cool thing, to be fair, we're going to talk about Pathfinder today, but the cool thing about Pathfinder is that you got lots of actions. So even if you use one of them to grapple or be ungrappled, you have 2 more to do whatever you want with. You can still be participating and, pushing the tension of the fight even more, right? All right. Well, there you go, folks. There's your tip of the week. If you have a bad guy or an NPC, just give them abilities for that theme. You don't have to do the math. Your players will just kind of accept it.
Yeah. Although I'm also reminded of, because I was playing the finale of the D&D adventure over on Untold Stories Project recently, and we were dealing with like a boss character that had legendary actions, so like extra actions that they could do. But I didn't realize legendary actions like recharged each round, apparently. I thought it was more like, because Mutants and Masterminds, like they introduced a rule recently. I think it was in the, I think they had introduced something in either their blog or on their Patreon, something recently, where you could give like big bad guys extra actions in a round, but it was a limited resource. And I kind of preferred it as a limited resource because like then, your singular bad guy up against 4 superheroes or whatever, like they stick around more during the beginning of the fight and they do more things. And then the fight starts to lean more towards the party's favor, like how typically fights will go. I kind of prefer that idea, if you want to just bump up your enemy's strength a little if you have a singular enemy.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it just depends where you want to front the cool stuff, right? Like you could have it set to be even, like if you're just going to homebrew something, like give them abilities based off of how much HP they had. Actually, low key, don't listen to this, Calvin. I actually had to bump up. I would like to bump up this dude's level by 1 because I saw like, oh, this is gonna end really fast. He needs 1 more level, so I just like flipped the switch, and I was like, all right, this dude's level 4 now, like right at the end, to kind of deal with some stuff, right? So, or at least give him like a cool move that he can do. I think it was the impeding strike or something like that. I forget what it's called, where he gets to like make an attack. And then he could stop people from moving. But I ended up just like knocking out a player, which was even cooler. So
yeah, we got to talk about that game at some point.
I know it's put it on the list.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get to this Pathfinder news, right?
Indeed. Yeah. So, if people out there have been keeping an eye on the Paizo blog or their social media posts, you may have noticed 10 different chapters of something called the God's Reign Prophecies. And these were just different, like, prophetic stories of what could happen if certain deities died, like Caden or Zon Kuthon or Desna, or even if Pharasma died, which was a pretty big deal. And these were all leading up as a countdown, basically towards the reveal of which deity would actually die in the upcoming God's Reign event, which would be shown in the new War of Immortals book. So in Gen Con 2023, which we had talked about before, Paizo had announced that one of the 20 main deities in Golarion was going to die in an upcoming book, and in an April 16th livestream, it was revealed that Gorham, the god of battle and lord of iron, would die in the upcoming adventure.
Gorham?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the dwarf one? My god.
That's... you might be thinking of Torog?
Oh, it's probably Torag. My bad. Torag and Gorham get mistaken a lot in my head. They're both cool dudes.
Yeah.
well, one's probably a hothead. The other one's a cooler dude.
I can see similarities between them. But yeah, Gorham is the god of war in the Pathfinder Golarion setting. He's actually been around since the beginning. He was present in the original D&D 3.5 setting book for Golarion. When I was looking it up, I saw that book had been published in 2008, and Pathfinder had been published in 2009, so he's been around. And he is about to be killed somehow in an upcoming book. The details haven't been revealed yet, but more will be shown closer to the book's release in October.
Interesting. Is this gonna be like God of War, where like Kratos shows up and just like...
Maybe.
becomes the new god of war. That would be sick because they did put out that deity I forget what it's called, but it's like that you could play as like a
The
special deity person.
Yeah,
Deific
the
person.
exemplar class. That's sort of tied
Exemplar
into what's
class, yeah.
happening. So the book will describe the event called God's Reign, where the blood and armor and essence of Gorum is like raining down on Galarian. And that was sort of what was happening with the exemplar class. Like you just had like pieces of god juice, and that gave you certain powers.
Oh shit, that's crazy.
So yeah, that event will be, described in the book. So the War of Immortals event, at least from what I saw, it was described as a story involving the gods who are trying to survive a slew of divine deaths, and mortals who are taking advantage of god sparks, which again you see with that class.
That's so radical. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that would be cool. I feel like this is like everybody's dream. Like, I'm gonna go, beat up Thor or whatever and take his hammer. Like, give him a noogie. Like, screw that guy. Like,
Yeah, fighting a god is such a trope, I guess, in TTRPGs. So I don't know, someone out there went and done did it apparently, and now everybody gets to share. Someone
Nice.
beat that pinata, and now everybody gets candy.
Yeah.
So yeah, the book will be out in October, and also in the same month, a tie-in adventure will be released, an adventure path called Triumph of the Tusk. It's a 3-part monthly campaign. It'll start at 3rd level, and it will reveal other deities that will perish in that event.
Ooh, such a big shakeup. Damn, Pathfinder.
Yeah. And in fact, speaking of, in November, there'll be a new book called Lost Omens Divine Mysteries, and that'll cover, like, an overview of the deities and faiths in the Pathfinder setting, as they will be after the War of Immortals event.
The post god butchering, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much. The cover of the book has Erasne on it, who's a deity of the abused, of dignity, and of unwilling undeath, and who will take Gorum's place in the core 20 deities.
Damn, bruh.
And there will also be a novel for God's Reign by Leanne Merciel that will be released in November, and it'll feature, the classic iconic Pathfinder characters. And something that I noticed, because after I found out who it was that was going to be dying, I went and did some reading, because I went to the Starfinder setting, because I was curious if Gorm was mentioned in Starfinder before, because I don't know, I mean, I didn't really think of it, because I didn't notice, but he was not mentioned at all. There is a Vesk deity of Demoritosh, who is the god of war in that setting. So I guess this explains what happened to Gorm and why he's not around.
Yeah, actually, I was wondering that. Like, how does the gods work in Starfinder if there's multiple races and multiple planets, right?
Mm-hmm.
So strange. Interesting. That's kind of cool. Maybe it was planned out in advance, and now they're just kind of executing on it.
Could be. Like I was trying to see if Gorm was mentioned at all in any of the books, but he never came up.
Well, because he's dead, dude. Like,
I mean, I guess so.
he didn't make it out. Oh, maybe they'll reveal what happened to Galarian. Like, why is it not in the setting, right? In the Starfinder setting, like that would be crazy. Like, where did it go? maybe it's too much god juice. It just couldn't handle it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit on the fence about that, because I would love to know like what the canon answer to that is, but I also feel like it's such a big thing for a GM to come in and play around with and do their own thing with that. I don't know. I'm of two minds about it. Although, to be fair, any GM could just ignore whatever the canon answer is and do their own thing.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that is the War of Immortals news. Gorm is the god to perish. We don't know how or why, but we know that whatever happened, however he was slain, it rained down his essence on Galarian, and now we got some new classes. But speaking of new classes, there was another playtest that was released recently. At time of recording, it would have been like a few days ago, because it was launched April 29th, 2024. And this playtest is called Battlecry, and it features 2 new classes, the Commander and the Guardian. And they'll be in an unannounced book that'll be coming out in 2025. So the Commander is a martial support class that can issue commands to allies, and the Guardian is like a tank that has heavy armor and it can taunt opponents or protect allies. The playtest is going on right now until June 21st. It's available at Pathfinder Society Games, and if you play online, it's on Demiplane and also on Foundry, which is a very big deal to me. And we're just going to get into talking about the playtest. We're going to get into talking about these 2 classes and maybe what ideas we get from them or what kind of characters they might be able to inspire. Let's just go, I guess, in alphabetical order for this and start with the Commander. So the Commander, I thought interestingly, is an intelligence-based martial class.
Yeah, using the brains, using them tactics.
Because you're so smart and so tactical. But yeah, during your daily preparations, like when people want to do like spell prep and stuff like that, you can train your allies with certain tactics. The number of allies you can train is equal to 2 plus your intelligence modifier. And then when you execute a tactic, you can use those allies to execute it.
Oh, so you have to like assign who knows what, or like has been trained? That's so crazy.
Yeah, pretty much. So like when you train someone this way, they become a squad mate, and then you can do squad mate stuff with them. It's not just like, an ally in your party. It has to be someone that you've selected.
Oh, dude, that's crazy. That's even like harder. I was like, oh, sick. This is just free stuff. You get to just yell at people and they just do it. But that totally makes way more like logical sense. Like,
yeah.
And definitely could be some cool roleplay moments.
I figure your int's gonna be pretty high because, it's your key ability. So you can probably get it like decently high at first level. It'll be like, 3 at least? I mean, depending on how much you beef it up, but yeah, I think you can get it to at least 3 with your, it also depends on your ancestry and everything.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely get it enough to have like a party of 4 work for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or if not, just like forget about the wizard. Like, it's fine. Like, he doesn't.
Don't worry about it. But yeah, let's get into some of these class features. One that I thought was really cool was the Commander's Banner. So you're like literally carrying around this battle standard, like this big war flag that you can use to signal your allies. You can attach it to your weapon or your shield, or you can just hold it on a pole. And there's going to be some, feats and abilities that require you to use it. The thing that I thought was most interesting, though, was that as long as it's visible, the user and allies within 30 feet get a bonus to will saves against fear. But if it's ever destroyed, allies within 30 feet get a level of frightened.
Oh, that's so funny. It's like, oh no. That's so cool. I hope they give enemies banners. That would be cool. Like,
yeah, a commander enemy would be really fun.
Yeah, right. Just like, oh, go after the flag. They'll get spooked.
Like back in I only really remember it from Halo 1, but I assume it was in the other ones. But in Halo Combat Evolved, if you took out the elite and there was a bunch of grunts around, they would just like run off if you killed the elites first, because they would be scared.
Yeah. That's in all of them, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they would just start freaking out and like losing their shit. It was the best. Yeah, Halo is still the greatest game apparently ever.
Because now you can do that with your adventuring party.
Yeah, you are the elite.
Yeah, I just thought it was really funny that like your allies get frightened if your flag breaks.
I like that you don't get frightened. It's like everybody else is just like, oh no.
Like you get the bonus for your bravery if you have it up, but you don't get frightened when it breaks. Like just because you're the commander, you gotta stay cool under pressure. But yeah, so the tactics, just like actions and strategies and stuff that you can do with your squad mates. You start off with 4 of them. You have like a commander folio. It's basically like a spell book in a way. But it's one that other commanders can't necessarily learn something from because it's all going to be in like your own specific like shorthand or whatever. But you start off with 4 that you know, and during your preparations you can train with up to 2 of them. which I think you can expand on. I'm not sure. You can definitely expand on how many you know, or you can expand on like the level of tactics depending on the feats you have. And you can change your selected tactics with 10 minutes in game of retraining. And yeah, like I said before, the number of allies that you can train is equal to 2 plus your intelligence modifier. So yeah, it's not like everyone in your party, depending on how big your party is, that could be a big deal. Depending on even like, I mean, I would assume you could do this for NPCs too, right?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. It's like it must be like anybody in your party. I'm not sure if animal companions count as like allies, but probably, right? So it's like
yeah, I mean, I would
could
think
even
so.
just like, get everybody involved.
Yeah, but maybe there could be a situation where you want to like train like a druid's companion, but you don't need to train the druid.
Yeah, get that nerd out of here. Like,
And then another feature that they have is drilled reactions, where once per round, if you use a tactic, you can grant an ally that benefits from that tactic an extra reaction for that round. But it has to be used for that tactic, which I think could be pretty useful.
yeah, because I think there's like kind of going a little ahead here. Like the offensive tactics coordinating maneuver allows you to reposition like that ally to reposition, use like a reposition maneuver as a reaction. So it won't take away from their reaction they can use for the round, but it just gives you, it basically is just a workaround saying like you get to have multiple reactions. So you don't get to use up your own personal reaction if you have, I'm gonna call it, what is it? Is it opportunistic strike or something like that? The one with the fighters?
Yeah, opportunity attack.
Opportunity attack? I forget what they call it in Pathfinder now.
Opportunistic strike. Attack of opportunity. We know what it is.
Yeah. You move, I stab. That's it.
Exactly. But yeah, we can get to some of these tactics and some of the feats, because I hadn't read over these before getting into it.
They're pretty cool, dog. Like, I wish I had these. Oh my god. Like,
yeah, I was thinking you might actually enjoy this class. Like this one specifically.
I was thinking I'm gonna steal these and give them to all of my bad guy leaders. Like, I'm like, yeah, I was like, why can't they should just be like an NPC like upgrade where it's like, oh, instead of it being elite, it's like this is the commander and they get to do shit like this. That'd be so dope.
Yeah, this would like really be a cool template to put onto an NPC, because I know they have templates for like undead and whatever. Like something like this where they gain certain actions and maybe can only work for a certain number of enemy creatures. But yeah, I think this would be really cool.
Yeah, well, I hope we see more of this kind of design in the future, because like I think there is some like you know, I would say goblin humanoid leaders that do affect like other members of the same species, but I think they're just a little bit, they only get like one ability max. It'd be nice for them to have a little bit more. So I definitely am going to steal these for those dudes. So one I really like is a defensive retreat. Actually, it's for 2 actions. You could call a retreat. You could signal squad mates. Each immediately step up to 3 times as a free action, and each step must be taken further away from a hostile. So basically, it's like you get to move your squad mates 15 feet, which is a lot, and you're stepping, so you're like avoiding a lot. You're avoiding like reactions and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, just like on your turn, your allies can move 15 feet without provoking any sort of reaction. That is very powerful.
Yeah, form up is also pretty crazy, because you get to just form up is basically like retreat, but like you get to just come like form up to your position, which is like pretty dope, especially because like if you just use your action to move and then like move up, like, oh, that's so good. Oh, and you could just get people like that barbarian who rolled really low to get even closer to the dude he wants to chop. Like, yo.
Yeah, because with form up, they can use their stride action, which is most likely going to be more than 15 feet.
Yeah. What? Ended sounds crazy. What the heck? Requires you and your allies currently outnumbered. You and your allies are currently outnumbered on the battlefield by enemies. Your squadmates have reduced an enemy to 0 HP since the start of your last turn. So like you're outnumbered, but you're winning, or like
you currently outnumber your enemies.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you currently outnumber your enemies. At your proclamation that victory is already at hand. Your allies march forward with authoritative stomps, scattering your enemies in terrors. You and each of your allies can step directly towards a hostile creature they are observing as a free action. Any hostile creature within 10 feet of you or your subordinates. After this movement, attempts a will save. Failure becomes fleeing for 1 round. What?
So you just
Okay, so you just move everybody 1 space and then they get spooked?
yeah.
On
You
a
step
will
forward
save?
menacingly, snapping your fingers.
Oh my god, dude. This thing is crazy. What? Okay, sure, Pathfinder. Whatever. That's fine. Spook all my goblins. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, man.
Trying to cause chaos, dog. Like, what do you mean?
I mean, if you're at the point where the party outnumbers the enemies, and it's just a handful of low-level dudes, I feel like this is pretty much going to happen, regardless
Yeah,
of
that's
having the
pretty cool.
ability.
Well, I would say even if you find a bunch of elite dudes, like they can still fail the roll, and then all of a sudden they just like one dude just breaks and runs away. Like, oh man, oh that's so crazy. Pincer attack is basically like you get to make them step, and then if they're next to them, they get to make an attack. That's off. That's off guard. Ooh. All right, these are all cool. Lots of the thing I love about these is that they're all movement based. I think a lot of them are position specific and like battlefield like oriented. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, super.
Yeah, there's
cool.
a lot of moving and repositioning here. Like you can even reposition enemies with some of them, like the double team one, that you can shove or reposition an opponent. Well, an ally can as a free action, and then you can just set them up for an attack from a second squad mate. And they would make a melee strike as a reaction, but if you use the other ability, the drilled reactions, basically both of them just get free actions to move and then attack an enemy on your turn.
Bro, like the legendary tactics, Valkyrie charge, like you basically just restore 80 hit points to anybody, not anybody, but people in your commander's banner. They heal, and then people who are at 0 HP, like just get up, like picking up their weapons or whatever, and then they can like stride up to twice their speed directly towards an enemy, and then make an attack. Like what?
Yeah, I'm kind of
per
picturing
day?
like, you know, you're holding your banner aloft, it starts glowing in the sunlight that it somehow finds in this battlefield.
I know, right? you're like one more time with spirit, and he just gets back up. like
it is a legendary one, so you need to have a few levels, but I think if you're at the point where restoring 80 hit points is something that you require, then...
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say it's like, oh yeah, only 80 hit points. This is really cool though. I mean, like I feel that if you're in a high level encounter and everyone's knocked out, something bad is happening, right? Like you're in danger, and this might actually be it. Like, so that's super cool. I would love for this to happen on like the boss enemy, right? Like final boss of your campaign, everyone's down, and there's just the commander left, and he's just like play the theme song, right? Like he just plants his flag, everyone gets up and just starts kicking ass again.
But it would be very cool also, like out an NPC, like something like the Valkyrie's charge, maybe a lower level version of it, but just like, you know, allies within a certain distance of them just regain some HP, and then they can, I don't know, take an action or whatever. And they only get like one of these that they can use, and it takes their whole turn to do. But I think it would be it'd be very challenging for the players. They'd see who's the dangerous tactician on the field, but then they have a bunch of enemies in their face again.
Yeah, for sure. We didn't even get into the feats.
Oh yeah, no, we haven't talked about the feats yet.
Oh
I do like Commander's Steed. I feel like that just fits.
Yeah, man just gets a horse. Like, yeah, for sure. The commander on a horse is really cool. I like Combat Medic, where it's like you get to triage and treat wounds. You get to use your intelligence instead of your wisdom modifier on medicine checks, which actually, like battlefield medicine and medicine checks come in so handy. Like, so that's really cool. Ooh, defensive swaps pretty cool. You and an adjacent willing ally are the target of an attack roll. Your allies work together to selfishly protect each other from harms, and you guys immediately swap positions, and then you just like the attack becomes to the new person that you swap with, right? So
yeah.
Or you swap too, you take the shot for them. That's really cool. That's a really cool reaction, actually. You're just like, no.
But they could also take it for you as well.
I know, this is super cool. Wait, what? Batter twirl? You and an ally adjacent to you has concealment from ranged attacks till the start of your next turn because you're just
spinning your flag around.
Spinning your flag around. That's so sick and silly all at the same time. I love it so much. Yeah, definitely a lot of cool feats about like helping your allies, and cool reactions I think are really cool. Because I feel like there needs to be like more reactions in the game. I feel like there needs to be more stuff that happens on other people's turns.
Yeah, and that's pretty much exactly what this is.
Yeah.
You know what thought I just had, though, is that you can also just play this in a Starfinder 2nd Edition game, and I'm just picturing someone with like this digital like hologram banner.
Yeah, that would be pretty sick. Oh, that's so cool. Desperate resuscitation, like you're holding a healer's toolkit or wearing one and have a free hand, and the target's body is mostly intact. Just so you know, like
mostly.
You can use your training in common medicine to revive the recently deceased. Attempt a DC 40 medicine check to revive a dead character that has been dead for more than 3 rounds. If you succeed, the character returns to life with the effects of the raised dead. Except you still has the wounding condition. Whether you succeed or fail, the target is temporarily immune to this for 1 day. So, wait, what? For 1 day? Sheesh.
Yeah, I guess that pretty much stops you from using it again. Because it's no more than 3 rounds.
I was kind of wondering. Like, what do you mean? Like, so if I just come back tomorrow, I could try again?
But they can't have been dead for more than 3 rounds, so...
Oh, yeah.
It's weird that they don't just say, like, it's immune to desperate resuscitation, but maybe there's some, like, edge case that came up.
Yeah, maybe if you, like, take him, like, you take the body, but you get it close to a black hole, so their respective time slows down. So really, it's only been 3 rounds for them. It's been a whole day for us, and then then you make it work that way. Yeah, I would make sure that works.
That does make sense. I was also just thinking, because I had to go check. This is kind of similar to the Envoy class, because you had mentioned like being able to do stuff as reactions. I think the Envoy does that a lot as well. The new Envoy, I should say, for Starfinder 2nd Edition, where instead of the tactics, you have the directives that you can do.
Wow, tactics, directives. Yeah, these 2 classes do feel the same, or not the same, but like similar to the theme wise. It's like you're the dude shouting orders and getting shit done, and helping the team, kick ass better, right? You're the battlefield support person.
Yeah, pretty much. You're taking your leadership role.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to have a comparison of the two, because I think the Envoy, it seems like it's a bit more of getting more directly involved than the commander inherently has to, because the commander seems like it's commanding in an area because you have that banner area.
Yeah, and like the Envoy is a lot more of like, you get like the bonuses if you did something, right? It's like if you get to do this one specific ability, but then if you like made an attack as well, then then everybody else gets to also benefit with the extra bit of that effect, right?
Yeah.
There's a little bit more flexibility, while like in this one there isn't flexibility. It's just kind of like what you get.
Yeah, but the commander is also more like more of a I don't know if lead from behind is the right thought, but it's more able to do stuff from a range. It seems better at letting your allies do things, I guess I should say, more so than you doing those things directly.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it feels like lead from the center, like you're kind of like in the middle of stuff, while like, and they're a little bit more general, I think. While the envoy can be really specific, like you're like the leader of a squad that does something specific, right? You know, so I can definitely see the difference. But like also like again, they kind of stick it in that kind of leadership theme.
Exactly. I wonder if that's just going to be something that'll be coming up a bit more with regards to like future class designs.
Yeah, I mean either way, I think they're both super cool. Anyway, I like this a lot. I wish there was more of this. I want this now, and in NPC form. Like,
yeah,
give it to me.
The playtest is out, so you can do as much as you want with it, or just yoink a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, that's the plan.
All right, let's get into the Guardian. This is a strength-based class, and it operates basically as a shield for allies, pretty much. Because you can interpose yourself between attacks on allies. So one feature you get is you get the armor specialization effects from medium and heavy armor, and you can also rest normally while you're wearing medium and heavy armor. So you can sleep in your big bulky armor.
Nice. I love it. That's so good. You're just I'm always ready to defend.
Yeah, my pillow is my shield.
Yeah.
So yeah, one of the main features is the intercept strike ability, where as a reaction to an adjacent ally taking damage, you can instead take the damage, and then you gain resistance to it, equal to 2 plus your level.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, it actually feels like you're defending somebody. Like, that's super cool.
Yeah, I like the addition of, resistance there, because that's kind of what you're doing. You're coming in to block the strike, and it's not going to be as damaging for you, because you're probably coming up there like your armor, your shield, or something like that.
Wait, hold on. So how does this work? I mean, like, if you have a bunch of defenders and they all defend each other, can they just like stack the resistance to like reduce the damage to nothing? That would be pretty funny. Probably not. That's not how I would read it as a GM. I would be like, that's stupid. But like, it's kind of a fun interpretation.
Well, maybe because the trigger for the reaction is the ally taking damage, and you get resistance to the triggering damage.
Yeah, but then it's like it also gets resisted, so it just really depends on the semantics of when resistance is applied. Is it the final step, or is it like, am I triggering off if the next character is triggering off of that reduced resisted damage?
I think it's off the resisted damage. Like, as written, it looks like if you have two guardians, one can take damage, and then the other one like reacts to that damage as well. I think the trigger should be if an adjacent ally, if an attack is successful, I should say, on an adjacent ally.
Yeah. But it specifically says physical damage, so I mean, I guess it doesn't stop like mental damage. You can't intercept the mental damage. The emotional damage can be intercepted. They gotta take that shit.
That's fair. I mean, I guess it's like very specific. If you have two guardians in play, in that case, then sure, I guess you can just eat up a bunch of damage.
Just wall up 4 guardians, all in a big shield wall, or like in a big shield square. And it's just like, no one can mess with us. like
you just go in a line and one person gets hit, and then just like relay race the damage to everybody else.
Yeah, just relay race the damage down to 0. Like you just line up enough guardians in a row, and by rules of red, you could just like, nullify all damage to 0. Like,
just a square of impenetrable guardians.
Yeah, they'll just loop it infinitely.
Another ability they have is a taunt that they can do even at mindless creatures, because it just needs to have a visual or auditory trait, so it can be, however you want to make, like, it could be like a gesture, or you can yell or something. It just has to be visual or auditory. They make a will save against the class DC, and and if they succeed on the save, if they get a critical success, they're unaffected by this. If they get a regular success, they get a bonus to attack rolls against the Guardian and a penalty to attack rolls against other creatures. And that penalty increases depending on the failure that they got on the roll.
Ooh, that's really cool. I like that a lot as well. I mean, like, I guess you're supposed to be really tanked up, you know what I mean? So your AC is really high or high enough to take all these hits. But yeah, no, that's super cool. I do like a cool. I don't think we've had a cool taunt ability, and I'm glad that it's here.
Yeah, not really. Not one that I can think of.
Yeah, I feel like this should be. Well, actually, what happens if you taunt? If two guardians taunt the same target, like is that guy just like, I don't know, I don't know what to do. Like,
then it gets the bonus and the penalty, I guess.
Oh, I guess guess that makes sense. So the two guardians they both succeed and they both just get +1 to being hit, and he's like, okay.
Yeah, like, it might just cancel out.
That's pretty funny.
But also, yeah, if you've taunted someone, you can apply some threat technique, which you have a couple options for. You can either deal additional damage to something that's been taunted if they still attack something like a different creature, or do any hostile action that doesn't include you as a target. Or you can do mitigate harm, which is resistance to damage from critical hits from creatures that you've taunted.
Oh, critical hits? That is really good.
Yeah, because you're getting a +2 on attacks to you, so crits are like more likely.
You can resist the damage from critical hits specifically. Oh, that's cool. So if you taunt somebody, you're standing right next to your bro. He still attacks your bro. Oh, resistance doesn't stack. Oh, that's unfortunate. Because I was like, intercept, and could take over, and like you get like more resistance, but actually you don't get more resistance. But I mean, maybe there's a feat or something that you can take that makes your resistance stuff cooler.
Maybe. I mean, with mitigate harm, like, because again, the thing is triggered off the damage. So if you get critted and you can mitigate harm, you get resistance equal to 2 plus half your level. But then you take if it's a physical attack, then you take physical damage, and then your cube of guardians just passes the damage around.
Passes the damage around. It's so funny, man.
Yeah, I like the narrative idea of this class, because like even specifically looking at the feats, the bodyguard, that was sort of the immediate thing I thought of with this, where you have a specific person that you are trying to protect, or that you're like sworn to protect. With the bodyguard feat, when you intercept a strike for the person that you're bodyguarding, for your charge, they get resistance to physical damage for 1 round. So if they still get hit, they get resistance, because it's based off your reaction if you intercede.
Yeah.
But yeah, like when I saw this, my immediate thought was someone who is tasked with protecting like a specific person, maybe like a member of the party, depending on
the commander.
Yeah,
maybe the commander.
If that's the story that the party is going through, if that's what these players agree to do, or they have like shared backstories and stuff. Yeah, one person could be the one who's out there being the leader, and the other is their second in command to make sure that banner never falls.
Oh man, that's some dope shit. I want to play those characters. Like, I want to live that life. That sounds awesome. Oh, yeah. I like long distance taunt too. Long distance taunt just basically makes your taunt 120 feet, which is just like you're just yelling at somebody from so far away.
I'm kind of like, what would be a visual taunt you can do from 120 feet away? You just like flip them off.
Yeah, you just flip them off. I was like, hey. Ooh, you can like use shoulder check. You hit a foe with your armor to throw them off balance. Make a fist strike. If the strike hits, the target is off guard for the rest of your turn. That's really cool, actually.
You just take an action and you just land that hit, which you're probably going to, considering strength is your key ability here.
Whoa, this doesn't have the attack tag.
Oh, good point.
Yeah, so then it doesn't count. Well, it presumably doesn't count towards your multiple attack penalty. That might be pretty cool, actually.
It does say make a strike, and the strike would have to tag, right?
Maybe. I mean, like, I would say, I don't know. I mean, the ability causes an action, it says to make a strike, but explicitly the multiple attack penalty says like how many abilities you use with the attack keyword, right? Or like the attack tag, right? That's the one that counts. So I don't know, I mean it might change in the future, but I do like the idea that this was intended to not be something like a multiple attack. It's supposed to be like a setup move, right? So it's like you just kind of deck them with your armored fist just to get them off balance, and then you just swing in with whatever weapon that you have on hand.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. That might be just a wording thing. Yeah, because I can see how it could be read either way. Yeah, but I mean, you're still like knocking someone off balance, which is pretty useful.
So these are really cool. Again, I am a bit of a martial class superior. Like I like to see martials get the cool stuff so you can live out that cool fantasy of like dude with armor and sword, right? Like
yeah.
You know what I mean, or whatever. But it's like I do appreciate it when it's not just like spellcasters all the way down, because I feel like honestly like that's where all the fun is in a lot of these fantasy based games. It's like eventually like the martial classes are like, wait, maybe I should learn how to cast some spells, because I've done the whole make an attack thing a billion times, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I do like the addition of like other options that you can take, and your character can just like have cool more battle-y options that only you can use, or techniques I should say. Oh, raise half is kind of cool. You're wielding a two-handed weapon. You just get to, it gains the parry trait, and if it already has the parry trait, increases like the AC provides by 2. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So you can like protect with like a two-handed weapon. I was looking at Stomp Ground, which is basically you just do like a ground pound. You just do a stomp, and you can knock people off guard or even knock them prone.
just a big boy doing big boy things. Like,
yeah, it's like in Fast and Furious, where Dom stomps so hard he knocked down a parking garage.
Yeah, this is basically Dom, right? This is all Dom's moves, right?
Yeah.
Like, didn't he just like eat a car once? I'm pretty sure he did.
I believe it.
I believe it too. Oh, critical failure, you get to just... Do they also take damage? That's crazy, dude. You just blast them so hard. Oh, wait. Okay, behind me sounds pretty cool. When you're saving an ally from harm, you push them behind you to protect them. When you use the intercept strike to protect the ally, you can move to that ally up to 10 feet within reach if they're willing. You can't move your ally into or through obstacles, and you must move your ally to be further away from the source of the attack as possible. Oh, another cool reposition kind of thing. That's so awesome.
Yeah, again, I just have that image of like, you grab them, you push them behind you, you do the whole bodyguard thing of diving in front of the bullet.
Oh, this is a thing called Tough Cookie. I already like the name. Once per day, your current hit points are half your maximum or less. When you've taken a lot of punishment, you aren't easily brought down. You gain a number of temporary hit points equal to half your maximum hit points that last for a minute. What? You're just like, no.
Not today.
Not today. You just get half your hit points back. You just get half your hit points back. If you're just at half HP, you just spend 2 actions, you're like, actually, I'm at full HP. Like...
Oh, there's a 16th level one called Never, with an exclamation point, where if you would attack an ally while you're confused or controlled, you can make a save with a +4 bonus against the controlling effects. Oh man,
Oh, dude,
what a
that's
fun narrative
so
thing that
wild.
would be if you're all the way at 16th level and you've gone through a whole adventure and someone's controlling you to attack your allies. You're just like, never.
That's so good, man. Wow, the 20th level was pretty funny. Boundless Reprisal. With a sixth sense for the flow of combat, you can quickly react to any situation as required. At the start of each enemy's turn, you gain a reaction you can use only during that turn for any reaction from the Guardian feat or class feature. At 20th
Ooh.
level, every turn you can just use a reaction on an enemy turn. That's so wild, dude. You're just like all over the place. You're like, get behind me, get over there. Take this attack. Oh, it's so, dude. That's so good.
Yeah, this is another one that has like really great like as I'm reading the abilities, it sort of inspires like what sort of character this would be, what sort of story they might have to them. Man, I wish I was in a new game. I like all my current characters too much.
Yeah, no. They didn't give us the courtesy of a dedication feat. Like these guys.
True. I'm sure there'll be one in whatever book this is meant to be in, because we still don't know like what this book is going to be. It's called the Battlecry Playtest, and we'll have it linked below and everything. But yeah, I don't know what the book is going to be. I mean, it's obviously going to involve some big conflict or something.
Yeah, and I think that like it has the vibe of like soldiers, right? Like you're a little bit more of like a mercenary company. Like again, that kind of Marshall-esque feeling to it. I always kind of want to build a campaign where you guys are like apart, like definitely inspired by Matt Colville's Chain of Acheron, where like they're just a bunch of mercenary dudes doing mercenary things, right? Like, you know, I'm here to do a job, that kind of deal. I've been like threatening to run like Red-Handed Doom, and that one is like there's like an army of hobgoblins that are doing this stuff. I've definitely pulled from Red-Handed Doom and kind of inspired for like the Rise of Inion, the Pathfinders of Inion campaign that's on infinite hiatus until we play that game again.
Yeah.
But this feels kind of like that vibe where it's like people are martial, they're here to do a job, they're less like adventurers and more like professionals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think either of these could be, you know, probably used for something like that. It feels like it's meant to be like a very like ground level view of a larger conflict. I think that's where this book is going to be going. I don't think we'll see anything about it until maybe Gen Con this year. And I feel like that's going to focus more on War of Immortals anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Well, either way, this is super cool. And check it out, guys.
Yeah. Again, everything will be linked below. The playtest document will be linked below, as well as where you can find it on Demiplane or Foundry if you're playing digitally. So yeah, try it out. Let Paizo know how you feel about it. If I could find an excuse to play a Guardian before June, that would be great, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Yeah, Ramon, any last thoughts on either of these two classes before we wrap things up?
They're cool, and I like them. I hope that we get some cool NPCs that I'm able to throw at my players with this kind of design in them.
Yeah, I really want to try playing with either of these, and I don't know, maybe I should actually do a home test game or something, but I would love to play like an actual game, because I would love to play a specific Guardian dedicated to another person's character. I feel like that would be a really fun campaign idea. And who knows, maybe when this book is out, or just, you know, using more of this playtest, I will have a chance to do that. But yeah, that's going to wrap things up for now. Again, all the stuff's linked below, so go ahead and check it out. If you're on YouTube, additionally, in the links below, you will find all the people we've had as guests on the podcast, all sorts of Lancer RPG writers and creators. And additionally, a link to the Untold Stories project, where I'm at on Wednesdays. And probably some Thursdays going forward, we'll figure things out. There's a whole bunch of cool stuff going on over there. There's a bunch of things that they are talking about that's event stuff that I don't want to get too far into because I don't want to reveal too much, but there's stuff coming up. What else? This channel, the Win with Dice channel, again, if you're on YouTube, there are also gaming streams. on Thursdays, Fridays, and Sundays. Thursday is Alan Wake 2, which has recently started and already blowing my mind. Friday, Baldur's Gate 3. And Sunday, probably going to wrap up Mass Effect Andromeda in a couple of weeks. So going to be starting Fallout 3 after that. And then going into Fallout New Vegas and then Fallout 4. That's the plan. That's the long-term, year-long thing, like how Mass Effect, the trilogy, was like a year-long thing. So that's about it for now. Is there anything else we need to say before we head off?
I think we're good.
All right. Well, for all of our bodyguarding GMs and players out there, just remember to keep on winning with dice, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.